a proud day and a nice day that this state recognises the Palestinian state. Really has lost a lot of that with what happened on Sunday and the horrific atrocity and the war crimes carried out by the Israeli state. When you look at the photographs and the pictures and the videos that come from there, and you hear the screams of people screaming as the Israeli government burned men, women and children alive. They burned them alive. And the world stands by while 15,000 children are being slaughtered. 35,000 men and women and children. And it's unbelievable, the genocide that's happening. A child with no head, a child with no head, and the Israeli government say it's a mistake, a mistake. I hope that Benjamin Netanyahu burns in hell the same way them children and their families burned. I hope him and his generals and the far-right government in Israel, that when their God finally brings him to the resting place, that he deserves to burn in hell. Because what is happening now, not alone is it apartheid, not alone is it atrocity and a war crime, it's just horrific. It's just horrific what they're doing. Where is their soul? Where is the soul of the Israeli people that allows their government to do this to children? Where is their humanity? The Israeli people, the Jewish people, after everything the Jewish people have suffered down over the decades, that they would allow their government to do this to other human beings. Human beings. But in the eyes of Netanyahu and this far-right Israeli government, Palestinians are human beings. But today here, the Irish people say, we recognise Palestine. We recognise that they are human beings, just like every one of us. Shame on Israel. Shame on what they've done, and will never be forgotten.
Why, when you were in the United States last week, did you not publicly condemn the United States in front of the world for giving the weapons to Israel to commit these genocidal atrocities? Why don't you now tell them that the US military are not welcome in Shannon Airport while they are arming a genocide to commit these atrocities? Taoiseach, the images of people burning alive at Alaska Hospital and in a tent camp beside that hospital are possibly the most horrific, stomach-churning, terrifying images of this horrific year of genocide by Israel against the people of Gaza. I suspect those images will probably be the lasting image in people's minds of the utter horror that Israel is inflicting on the people of Gaza, burning people alive in hospitals, in ICU beds, in tents, innocent people, like Shaban al-Dalou, like a falafel seller, a janitor, burning them alive. This same regime on Sunday killed 22 people in a school in Al-Nasurat, 22 and 80 injured in a school, repeatedly bombing a school. Over the weekend, there's evidence that Israel has been using white phosphorus, chemical weapons, in an area where innocent Lebanese people live and where the UN peacekeepers are present. They have threatened Irish troops. They have attacked UN bases. There's simply no atrocity Israel isn't willing to commit, and we're seeing this in front of our eyes. Now, the thing is, Taoiseach, that most likely the white phosphorus, the bombs that burn people alive in Gaza, the weapons that are being deployed to murder people in Gaza, and now in Lebanon came from the United States. And some of them, and very possibly some of those that were used in these horrific atrocities and to commit this genocide, went through Irish airspace. And yet your government has done nothing to stop that. The Ditch reports that over the weekend, since the Israeli army pointed their tanks at our troops, 2 more flights have gone through Irish airspace carrying munitions to Israel to carry out their genocidal atrocities against the people of Gaza, and still you let it happen and do nothing about it. There were thousands of people, I was one of them, in Shannon Airport at the weekend, saying, why don't you stop this? And that you are complicit as long as you allow it to happen, and that you allow the US military to use Shannon, who are up to their necks in arming and supporting and giving succour to the crimes that Israel is committing. Why, when you were in the United States last week, did you not publicly condemn the United States in front of the world for giving the weapons to Israel to commit these genocidal atrocities? Why don't you now tell them that the US military are not welcome in Shannon Airport while they are arming a genocide to commit these atrocities? What are you going to do to stop munitions going to commit these atrocities and these massacres and these crimes go through Irish airspace? What are you going to do to stop the Irish Bank facilitating the sale of Israeli war bonds to finance the genocidal massacre that has been committed? You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth unless you do something on those issues, Taoiseach.
Taoiseach, please.
If we could measure empathy and compassion in decibels, I wouldn't win, and you'd win. But the reality is you don't have a monopoly in terms of your concern for the people of Palestine. You certainly don't have a monopoly in terms of your concern for our peacekeeping troops. Something I'm updated on several times a day. We're in constant contact with our peacekeepers, and keeping them safe is the #1 priority of this government, the #1 priority of the United Nations. And we work on it on a round-the-clock basis.